Hi everyone! Today I'll talk a little bit about The Secret of Luisa. That was a book that was written by Fernando Labella. It's one of the most famous books about entrepreneurship in Brazil, which is the place where I'm from, and it has inspired like many students and business owners. So at first, it might look like a book that's only about how to start a business, but like it's after reading, you kind of notice that it's really about leadership and personal growth. So because the main character Louisa, she teaches like about leadership and all that is not something about no, that is not something only for people like just the leadership is not something people are born with. So it's something that they kind of have to develop through the learning, planning, making mistakes and continuing to improve. So this presentation it's I'm gonna like not try to summarize the entire story. I'm gonna share the leadership lesson that I believe anyone like can use, and even if they have never they don't want to start a company, it's going to be really important. And as college students, I think we have the opportunity to prioritize leadership, and we have to sometimes lead projects and students organizations volunteer. Like I have a student club at UNF that I have to lead, so I think this book like gives really important insights that like can help us become better leaders and for all of these kind of situations. So at the end of this presentation, I hope that you see that leadership is not about having a title, kind of. It's more about taking actions, and I'm gonna try to explain this through like what I learned by reading the book. And maybe if you guys want, I can share the PDF for the file, and then you guys can read. And I don't know if there's an English version, but I will try to check for one. And okay, that's it. Let's continue. Let's begin to by looking at Luisa's journey and how she became a leader. So, like before we talk about leadership, for this book, it's important that you guys kind of understand Luisa's journey, so that you can understand a little bit more like how she's so inspiring. So Luisa is like a young woman that had a dream. She wanted to create her own business, but she didn't have like a perfect idea or plan. So she didn't have like a special advantage, and she started like she kind of started like with many ideas and many questions that what she wanted, like what she was gonna do. And instead of waiting for a perfect moment, she decided to like prepare herself. She studied and asked experienced people for advice and learn as much as she could. It kind of shows like that a good leader are always willing to learn before making important decisions. And I think this was a really good example because she didn't wait before trying to implement her idea, even though she didn't have like a big important idea. She tried to like have other people in science to like know what she was supposed to do or like what she could do. And of course her journey was not easy. Like she faced many challenges and made a lot of mistakes. So like however, instead of like giving up, she used like everyone experience to improve. And this is one of the biggest lessons from the book, because she always every time that she instead of like giving up, she always trying to improve and showing that leadership is not only about being perfect, it's like learning, adapting, and continuing to move forward. We showed like I learned a lot about leadership and leadership styles with this book, because the way that she can adapt and continue moving forward and like learning more and trying to implement herself. Oh, this didn't work. Okay, let me try out something else. That was really important for me. And I also like that the timeline. I also put like the timeline on this slide because it shows like the leadership is a process, and it started like, for her it started with a dream and continues with planning and learning, and then it goes and grows to through challenges. So success is not like the first step; it's like the result and the outcome of everything else. So it comes a lot of steps before that. And I think this lesson is important for college students because many of us have goals for our future careers, but we may not know exactly how to achieve them. So like Louisa, we can start by learning and asking questions and making like and thinking most steps every day. And this was what I always try to do. I try to like learn new stuff each day and try to like take step by step. Even though I'm really anxious, I try every time to like, okay, so what can I do next? Is it okay if I try this way? If it doesn't work, what should I do? Like, we cannot give up. We can continue improving, and that's what she shows on her book. So the first lesson from this book is that leaders are not born ready. I think most of you already know this, but like they become leaders through continuous learning and actions. And I think uh, this is like a really important lesson that we could all try to learn and implement this on our daily life. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk some of the lessons from this book. I'm gonna name three of them, and no, four of them actually. And the first lesson from this book is that every leader needs a vision. So, what is a vision? So a vision is more than just having a dream. It means knowing what you want to achieve and why it's important for you. So without clear vision, it's very important. It's very easy to lose motivation or become distracted by problems. So what I'm talking about. So basically, if I don't know what I want, or like I don't have a vision of what I want, I might give up in the middle of the process, and that it doesn't help. So if I try to, before starting something, if I try to vision something and okay, I want to do this because I want to start college because I want to have a degree. Okay, so why I'm not giving up? Because I want to have a degree. Okay, so that's my vision. And in the book, Luisa has a dream of creating her own business. However, she doesn't just stop there. She turns her dream into like a clear goal and begins working towards it step by step. This is what makes her different. She doesn't only not only like imagine success, she takes action, and that's like really important. She's not just like, okay, tomorrow I'll start something. Tomorrow I'll start my big plan. She actually take action, and she like, okay, I'm gonna start right now. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be doing my best. And I also like the three ideas of this slide because, as I put over there, the first one is direction. Leaders know where they want to go. Even when they face problems, they have goals that help them make decisions. And if you have a goal, you're gonna do the right decision. You're gonna not do the right decision, but you're gonna be able to follow easier if that's a word, through the process to make a good decision. The second is passion. Passion gives people the energy to keep going, especially during difficult times. When we truly believe in our goal, we are more willing to work hard and overcome challenges. So we need passion. We need to have passion. We need to have direction. And the third idea, we need to have clarity. A dream becomes much stronger when it is transformed into a specific plan. Clear goals help leaders to stay focused and measure their progress. All of the stuff I'm saying, it's basically on the book. And I'm trying to explain why this book was so important for me. And the main stuff I learned from it. So those three are something that she puts on her book a lot. And I thought it was really important for you guys to also understand why I think it's important. So the quote at the bottom of the slide, a dream without action remains only a dream. I think this one's one of the most important message of the book. Because dreams are important, but they only become reality when we take action. As I mentioned before, if we want something, it's not going to happen if we just wait and wait. It's not going to come to our hands like a miracle. We believe, but then at the same time, we have to do it to make it happen. And we can apply this lesson today, this kind of lessons on our daily lives. For example, many of us want a good career after graduation, but saying, I want to be successful is only a dream. A leader creates plans, studies consistently, gains experience, and build relationships, and take actions every day to reach the goal. So like, if we want to reach something, if we want to be successful, like as I mentioned, for example, we're going to build each day step by step to make that happen. And so the first step to becoming a leader is having a clear vision and be willing to take action, act on it. Okay, now for the second lesson, ideas need planning. Now that we have a vision, the next step is planning. So one of the biggest lessons from this book, I'm saying one of the biggest lessons because all of them are big lessons and I've learned a lot through the book. But like, I'm trying to make points from what I've noted. And having a good idea is not enough. Many people have great ideas, but only a few like make those turn into reality. The difference planning and action. Luisa, the main character, understands that she cannot build a successful business by guessing. Before making important decisions, she spent like a lot of time researching the market, learning from experienced people, and creating a clear plan. And this preparation kind of helps her to avoid many mistakes. Because if she has like a know-how, like a knowledge before implementing something, she's gonna avoid a lot of stuff. And time is money. So like, if you avoid as much as problems, you're gonna lose less money, and you're gonna be able to have more successful ideas. And the diagram on the slide, it shows like a simple process. Everything starts with a plan, with an idea, and then becomes a research, and where you collect the information and you understand the problem. After that, you create a plan and you begin to execute it. So like, as you work, you continue improving, and over time, this leads to a growth. Another important lesson is that planning reduces risk, but not very important idea is that planning reduces risk, but it does not remove uncertainty. So like, it does remove risks, but you're still gonna have like a lot of uncertainty of what is gonna happen. It doesn't mean that it's gonna be 100% for sure that this will happen and this will be okay, and you're gonna be the best leader. You're gonna be the best. You're gonna have the best company. It does reduce risks, but it doesn't remove like uncertainty. So even with a good plan unexpected. So even though with a good plan, unexpected problems can happen. And a good leader is flexible and ready to adapt when necessary instead of like giving up. I think this lesson is very useful for us. For example, if we want to get an internship, it's not enough to like simply hope for one. We need to research companies, improve our resume, develop new skills, and prepare for interviews and like apply constantly. So this is a real example of like turning ideas into action through planning. If we plan all those stuff, we are gonna be have a higher chance of getting internship. It doesn't mean that we are gonna have an internship, but it means that we are gonna have a higher chance compared to other candidates. And then we go for the third lesson. Failure is part of leadership. So basically, one of the hardest lessons in leadership is learning how to deal with failure. Many people believe that successful leaders would never fail. However, this book teaches the opposite. Luisa faced many challenges while building her business. She makes a lot of mistakes, and she does not see them as the end of her journey. Instead, like she uses her each mistakes as an opportunity to learn and improve. So this slide compared to like two of the ways of thinking, and the first one is giving up. When people like see a failure as the end, they stop trying, and they lose confidence and miss the chance of growth. And I'm gonna talk a little bit about more of that. But like the second one is learning and improving. This mindset sees failures as feedback, and instead of asking why did I fail, the leader asks what can I learn from the experience. And this is the way of thinking that helps people become stronger and better prepared for challenges. And I believe this lesson is especially important, like for all of college students, that sometimes we receive a lot of, for example, low grades. Let's put in that, and maybe get a not get an internship, and or like making mistakes during a project, and those experiences can feel disappointing, but they don't need to define our future. We gotta like respond, like know how to respond to them and learn that our mistakes and continue that we are gonna make mistakes, but then we are gonna continue improving and become stronger and more prepared for next opportunities. So in my opinion, resilience is one of the most important leadership skills that I see in this book. And because every successful person has like faced setbacks, and the difference is that they kept moving forward instead of giving up. So let's go to the fourth lesson, the power of relationship. What the book shows us that leadership is not something that we build alone. As Louisa say, the strong relationships help people grow. And throughout the book, she understands that she does not have the need to have all the answers. Instead of trying to solve every single problem by herself, she like kind of looks for mentors and asks questions. Because also, as I mentioned in the previous slides, she puts the way of her learning is that like having people to like give her ideas and other feedbacks, so that she can ask questions and listen to people with more experience, because she knows that learning from others saves time and help make better decisions. So basically, she doesn't need to know everything. She doesn't know everything. None of us know. So what she kind of tries to say is that if you can learn from someone else, do it, because if you do so, you're gonna gain time. And as I mentioned, time is money. So if you gain time, you're gonna make save your time and help make better decisions, because you're gonna learn from others' mistake, and you're gonna be able to maybe improve and do better on whatever you're trying to do. So this slide shows that Luisa has connected with to mentors, customers, business partners, friends, and her community. So each of these relationships plays an important role in her journey, and that together they give her support, advice, and new ideas and opportunities. So I think it's an important lesson for all of us, because sometimes we believe that leadership means doing everything ourselves, especially for me, because sometimes I try to do everything myself. It doesn't really work, but I try, and I get frustrated. But I've been learning that I need to rely, I don't know how to say this, but like I shouldn't rely on other people for everything, but I should try to understand that I need sometimes help from other people. And sometimes we believe that leadership means doing everything by ourselves, but great leaders know how to work with others, and they build trust, and they communicate clear and create stronger relationships. And we can try to connect this with professors, professionals, classmates, student organizations, because those relationships right now, they can help us a lot in the future, and they also can help us learn new skills, discover new opportunities, and grow both personally and professionally. So in my own opinion, in my own experience, I've learned a lot by talking to people and asking for advice, especially when I was building my network, because I'm building my network, but building network can open doors, and that we might have, and building network can open doors that we might never have to find our own. And building a network can open doors that we might not even have if we like try to do this by our own. So the main message of this slide is that leadership is not about standing alone. It's about bringing people together and learning from each other. So applying this lesson today. After reading this book, I realized that its lessons are not only about starting business. I know that I mentioned that one of the most important parts, everything was really important, and I think this book was probably one of the main books to show me that I kind of have to understand a little bit more about my leadership style. Then I need to improve a lot. And so those lessons that I told you right now, they can be applied in many parts of our daily lives. So for example, many college students are involved in student organizations, volunteer projects, or groups assignments, and those experiences give like us opportunities to practice leadership by setting goals, working with teams, and solving those problems together. Another important lesson is like building a strong network, meeting professors, classmates, and professionals. Those can help us a lot and learn. So receive advice and discovering opportunities. Sometimes one conversation can lead to an internship, maybe a research project or a future job. I say this about my own experience. I was really afraid to talk with one professor, and now I might have a research project for next semester. So this book reminds me that accept challenges instead of avoiding them. Every difficult situation teaches like something valuable, and even things do not go as planned, we gain experience that help us improve our future. So I would say this is really important. And that finally, Luisa teaches that ideas not only create value when taking action. So we need to take action. Many people have great ideas, but successful leaders are the only ones who start and learn from their experience. They learn from the experience and they continue improving over time. So for me, my biggest message for this book is that leadership is a practice every day. And it's not only something that begins after graduation or when I become something in my future. It begins with like the choices that I might make today or tomorrow. So like both in college or personal lives. So before I finish, I would like to review the 5 main lessons from this book and what can we learn from Luisa. So the first lesson is to dream with purpose. Every leader starts with a vision, but that vision needs a clear goal. The second lesson is a plan before acting. Good ideas become successful when we only prepare. The second lesson is to plan before acting. Good ideas, they only become successful only when we prepare, organize, and take actions. The third lesson is to learn from mistakes. Failure is not the end, and that's for me. I cannot give up every time I fail. I gotta continue trying every time more. And it's an opportunity to grow, improve, and become stronger. The fourth lesson is to build a meaningful relationship. Network, it truly is important. We need to learn how to communicate better, to have a better networking, and to get better relationships. Because leadership is not about working alone. It's by listening to others, learning from mentors, and building trust. Because we can achieve much more when we do this with other people. And finally, the fifth lesson is never stop growing. Great leaders, they continue learning throughout their lives, and they stay curious. They know how to adapt, and they always look for ways to improve. And I would like to finish this slide with a quote. Leadership is not about having authority. It's about creating value, inspiring others, and continue learning. I think this sentence perfect summarizes everything, the message from the book. If you guys want, I can share the PDF. If someone speaks Portuguese, perfect, because it's probably going to be in Portuguese. Though, I'm going to try to find an English version to maybe attach to this video. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this on time. But I think that everything I mentioned before is really important, and I would like to thank you guys very much for your attention, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much. Bye bye.